For years, fans of Outlander have dreamed of one moment, a meeting that could change everything. A meeting between the past and the future. Between a woman who defied time itself and a boy who carries the legacy of everything she fought for. As Season 8 approaches the final chapter of this time-bending love story, one question echoes louder than ever. Will Henry finally meet Claire? Because if he does, it won't just be another reunion. It will be destiny, closing the loop of generations, separated by centuries, yet bound by love, loss, and the magic of time. Before we can imagine what might happen next, let's go back to where it all began and where we've been left hanging, Claire. Beauchamp Randall Fraser, the woman who walked through the stones at Craigh, has lived more than one lifetime. She has been a nurse in the 1940s, a healer in the 18th century, and a survivor through war, heartbreak, and history itself. Beside her stands Jamie Fraser, her great love, the Highland warrior who defied empires and time for her. Together, they have built a family across centuries. But their story has always carried one haunting theme. Time separates. And time reunites as Outlander Season 7 unfolded. We saw the story stretch across generations and continents. Claire and Jamie faced new dangers in colonial America. While in another time, the 20th century, Brianna and Roger raised their children. Jemmy and Mandy, far from the chaos of the past. But among those threads, one name began to stir curiosity. Henry Beauchamp. The son of Fergus and Marsali, has grown into a young man of his own, brave, restless, and shaped by a family legacy that is anything but ordinary. Though he lives in a world touched by war and change, the echoes of his ancestors, Claire, Jamie, and the love that defied time flowed through his blood. Now, the question that burns in every fan's heart is, will these worlds finally collide? Will Henry, born from the lineage of those who crossed time, finally meet the woman who started it all, Claire Fraser herself? The beauty of Outlander has always been how fate connects generations through letters, stories, and memory. Claire once found traces of her daughter through the centuries. Brianna dreamed of her parents' past. Even Jamie's ghost lingered near Claire long before their lives first intertwined. Every moment in this universe has whispered that time is not a barrier, it is a bridge. And as Season 8 draws closer, all the signs point toward one final crossing where the bridge may bring Henry face to face with Claire. This isn't just about family. It's about destiny finally coming full circle. In the world of Outlander, blood is not the only thing that ties people together. Sometimes it's memory. Sometimes it's destiny. And sometimes, it's the echo of a choice made hundreds of years ago. Henry's story may seem far away from Claire's world of standing stones and Scottish battles. But when you look closer, you can feel her shadow in every part of his journey. Henry, much like Claire, was never meant to live an ordinary life. He was born into a legacy built on courage, love, and sacrifice, a legacy that began the day Claire stepped through the stones and refused to turn back. Both Claire and Henry are outsiders, people caught between worlds. Claire was a woman of science, trapped in a time ruled by superstition. Henry is a man of modern thought, trying to make sense of a family bound by magic and mystery. They both ask the same questions. Who am I? Where do I belong? It's this shared search for identity that makes their connection so powerful, even if they've never met. When you think about it, Claire and Henry are reflections of each other. Living in different centuries, but guided by the same flame, curiosity, and courage, Claire risked everything to heal the wounded and protect those she loved. Henry, too, carries that quiet bravery, the kind that doesn't roar, but glows steadily even in the darkest moments. If they ever meet, it won't just be a meeting between a boy and his ancestor. It will be two souls recognizing something familiar, a feeling of "I know you," even across time. Claire would see in Henry the spark that once made her defy the impossible, and Henry would see in Claire the origin of everything his family became. It's poetic, really. The healer and the heir. The woman who began the story and the young man who could carry it to its end. Their bond is invisible yet unbreakable, a thread of destiny that the universe itself has been weaving since the moment Claire touched the stones. And if Outlander has taught us anything, it's that love in all its forms finds its way. From Jamie and Claire, to Brianna and Roger, and now to Henry, every generation carries a part of the other. They are living proof that time cannot destroy what was built on love. So as Season 8 approaches, maybe this is the real heart of the story, not just whether Henry will meet Claire, but whether time will finally allow the family to become whole again, because some stories don't end. They come full circle. There's a certain kind of magic that lives in the Outlander fandom, the kind that turns every tiny detail into a possible clue, every whispered line into a prophecy. And now, as the final season approaches, fans are not just watching. They're decoding everywhere, from online forums to late night Reddit discussions. One question keeps sparking wild imagination. Could Henry finally meet Claire through time itself? Some believe the answer lies in the stones, those ancient humming gateways that have always chosen who may pass and who may not. One theory suggests that Henry might be called by the same mystical pull that once drew Claire. The idea is that his bloodline, flowing with Fraser and Beauchamp energy, could awaken a dormant connection to time travel, something that has always been more spiritual than scientific. Others think Henry's meeting with Claire might not happen through time, but through memory. In the Outlander universe, time has never been a straight line. It folds, it whispers, it repeats. Some fans suggest Henry might discover a journal, an object, or a letter written by Claire herself, something so powerful that it feels like a meeting of souls rather than bodies. Imagine Henry reading her words, feeling her voice, realizing that the woman who once crossed centuries now speaks directly to him. It wouldn't just be emotional, it would be transcendent. But there's another theory, one darker, more haunting. It says that Henry's connection to Claire could come through a dream or vision, born out of danger or loss. Perhaps in his moment of crisis, Claire appears to him not as flesh and blood, but as a spirit, a guide, a memory passed through generations. A symbol that even when people fade, love and wisdom do not. After all, Outlander has always blurred the line between life and death, past and present. Who's to say Claire wouldn't reach across the centuries one last time? Then there are those who think the showrunners are planning something even bolder. A twist that ties every generation together. What if Henry doesn't travel back in time, but Claire travels forward? What if after years of healing others, she finally sees her descendants' world, the future she helped shape? It would be a moment of awe and heartbreak all at once, the healer stepping into the time she never thought she'd see. Each theory may sound wild, but that's the beauty of Outlander. Nothing is impossible. Time travel, love, loss, destiny, they all weave together in ways we can't predict. And every fan, in their own way, is searching for the same thing: closure. The kind of closure that makes the entire journey, every tear, every goodbye, every miracle, finally make sense. Because maybe, just maybe, the end isn't about how the story finishes, but about how it connects everyone who is ever part of it. When a story like Outlander reaches its final chapter, the silence of the cast speaks louder than their words. Sometimes, it's not what they say, it's how they say it. The soft smile in an interview, the long pause before answering, the teasing phrase that leaves fans spiraling into theories. For months, the cast and crew have been carefully tiptoeing around Season 8's biggest secret. And if you listen closely, you can feel that something monumental is coming. Caitríona Balfe, who has lived as Claire for nearly a decade, once said in an interview, "Every story must come full circle, especially one that plays with time." It was a simple line, maybe even innocent, but fans couldn't ignore the way she looked down right after saying it, as if she'd said too much. Could full circle mean that Claire's past will meet her future through Henry? Then there's Sam Heughan, the soul of Jamie Fraser. When asked about how the show would end, he smiled in that familiar, secretive way and said, "We'll see a lot of ghosts finally find their peace." That single sentence set the fandom on fire. Because in Outlander, ghosts don't always mean spirits. They can be memories, regrets, or or even people from another time who never had the chance to meet. Executive producer Meryl Davis has also added fuel to the fire, saying Season 8 would be about legacy, love, and the echoes of time. Echoes of time. That phrase has stuck with everyone. It sounds like the perfect hint toward generations finally connecting. Perhaps even Henry and Claire meeting across the centuries. Even the show's writers have teased that the final season will be emotional in a way that feels like coming home. Coming home. Another phrase loaded with meaning. For Claire, home has never been a place. It has always been people. Jamie, Brianna, Roger, Fergus, Marsali, and maybe at the end, it will be Henry, a living reminder that her story still lives on. Behind the scenes, fans who follow filming updates have noticed something unusual. Certain sets being AR. Could they be preparing for a narrative crossover? A moment when the timelines collide? And Claire finally sees the future she created. None of the casts have confirmed it outright, of course. They can't, but there's a pattern in their interviews. One of nostalgia, closure, and emotional weight. They're saying goodbye, but not with sadness. With reverence, as if the ending isn't tragic, it's fulfilling. So maybe what they're really telling us is this. The final season won't just tie loose ends. It will connect hearts separated by time. And if Claire does meet Henry, even for a single fleeting moment, it won't just be fan service. It will be destiny realized. Every ending has a rhythm, a heartbeat that carries the story to its final breath. And for Outlander, that rhythm has always been love tangled with time, memory, and fate. So if Season 8 truly brings Henry and Claire together, it won't just be by accident. It will be the universe keeping a promise made centuries ago. There are whispers among fans, quiet but passionate about how this long-awaited meeting could happen. And each theory feels like a doorway to destiny. Scenario 1. The Call of the Stones. Imagine this. Henry, restless and haunted by stories of the past, stands before the ancient stones of Craigh, done. The wind howls. The air hums, and something deep within him stirs. He doesn't understand it, but the stones do. They recognize his bloodline, the echo of Claire and Jamie within him. One touch, one moment of hesitation, and he's pulled through time, not to escape, but to fulfill a legacy. When he opens his eyes, the world is older, rougher, alive with the scent of heather and smoke. And somewhere in that world, Claire waits. It would be poetic, the stones that once took. Claire away could now bring her story home. Scenario 2. The Healer's Legacy. But maybe Henry doesn't travel through time at all. Maybe the meeting isn't physical, but spiritual. Perhaps he discovers Claire's old medical notes, her journals, her letters, the ones that carry not just her words, but her heart. As he reads them, her voice begins to echo, faint at first, then clear, like a memory awakening. Through her words, Henry begins to know her, the courage, the compassion, the stubborn hope that shaped his family. And in that connection, Claire's spirit lives on, guiding him in ways even she couldn't have imagined. After all, Outlander has never been just about time travel. It's been about the ways we reach across time through love, through memory, through story. Scenario 3. The vision of farewell. There's also a theory darker, yet strangely peaceful. In her final days, Claire, older, wiser, still unbreakable, could see a vision of Henry, not through magic, but through the natural pull of time closing its circle. Maybe she dreams of him standing in her old garden, sunlight on his face. She doesn't know his name, but she feels his presence familiar, comforting. And in that dream, she whispers the words she once said to Jamie, "Don't be afraid. There's the rest of time." It would be Outlander at its purest. Love that bends time, grief that becomes grace, and a goodbye that feels like coming home. Scenario 4. The full circle ending then. There's the most emotional theory of all, the one that gives goosebumps even to those who don't believe in fate. Imagine Claire standing at Craigh done one last time. The stones hum, and through the shimmering air, she sees flashes Jamie, Brianna, Roger, and finally, Henry. He looks back at her, both knowing they are part of the same story. No words, no touch. Just a silent understanding that time has no power over love. And with that, Claire smiles. Because after all these years, the circle is complete. Each of these paths holds the same truth. Outlander has never been about changing the past. It's about understanding it. Maybe the real magic of Season 8 won't be in who travels where, but in how time itself finally bows to love. Every story that survives time carries a heartbeat, a rhythm made of love, loss, and longing. And for Outlander, that heartbeat has always been Claire Fraser. Her courage built worlds, her choices shaped generations, and her love became the thread that stitched together centuries. But if Henry, a child born from the echoes of her journey, finally meets her, it would not just be an ending. It would be a return to where it all began. Imagine it for a moment. Henry standing before the woman whose bravery made his very existence possible. He doesn't see a legend, he sees a person. A woman who carried pain, laughter, guilt, and love through lifetimes. And Claire, looking at him, wouldn't see just a descendant. She'd see proof. Proof that everything she endured had meaning. Every scar, every goodbye, every risk, all of it led to this. That's the emotional power of Outlander. It reminds us that even when people vanish into history, their choices ripple forward, touching lives they'll never meet. Claire's healing hands may one day be Henry's compassion. Her wisdom may echo in his voice. Her defiance that refusal to surrender may live in his heart. If they meet even for a moment, it would be the show's way of saying, time doesn't erase love, it protects it. Every second that passes, every century that separates them, only proves that love doesn't die. It waits. And for the fans who have traveled through years of heartbreak and hope with this story, such a moment would be more than a plot twist. It would be closure. A way of saying goodbye without losing the magic. It would bring the audience back to that first time Claire heard the stones sing. When the impossible felt real and love felt endless. Because Outlander has never been about time travel. It's about the courage to love through time. And a meeting between Claire and Henry would turn that message into something eternal. It would be the legacy Claire leaves behind. That love, when born from truth and sacrifice, doesn't fade when time ends. It becomes time. So if Season 8 gives us that final moment, the healer and the heir standing together beneath the whispering wind, it won't just be an ending. It will be a heartbeat carried forward through every generation that dares to believe in love strong. Enough to outlive the centuries. Some stories fade when the screen goes dark. But Outlander is not one of them. It's a story that lingers in the sound of the wind through the stones. In the echo of a heartbeat that refuses to stop. In the idea that love can reach across centuries and still find its way home. If Claire and Henry finally meet, it won't just be the ending fans have waited for, it will be the moment time itself gives up fighting them. A full circle of destiny. From Claire's first step through the stones, to the final moment where her legacy stands before her in flesh and blood, her courage, her love, her story living on in him. And maybe that's what Outlander has been trying to tell us all along. That our lives are threads in a story much greater than ourselves. That even when time separates us, love leaves traces, a laugh, a name, a memory waiting to be rediscovered by those who come after. So as we wait for Season 8, we're not just waiting for another season of television. We're waiting for closure, for peace, for the promise that love truly conquers all, even time. Maybe Henry and Claire will meet in a single fleeting moment. Or maybe they already have, through the choices that connected their bloodlines, through the courage that keeps their story alive. Either way, the legacy of Outlander has already done what it was meant to do. Remind us that the heart can travel anywhere that dares to believe. Now it's your turn. Do you think Henry will finally meet Claire before Outlander ends forever? Or do you believe their connection is already written in time, just waiting to be revealed? Share your theory in the comments, because this isn't just their story anymore. It's ours. And maybe, just maybe, love is the one thing that never gets lost in time.